going, black man?
We are in a very critical time in black organization and thought.
Okay.
Some of us might not make it through, me being one of them. These, the enemy has figured out a way to turn our own people against us.
Indeed.
So now, if you...
I must admit that it's very late or very early in the morning for the interview.
Yes, sir.
So since it's been recorded, I think that it should be duly noted.
Right. Yes, it is being recorded. Yeah, so I was saying that now they got the gangs who took the psychology from the prison mentality of survival mode and put it out on the street. So now if you're a conscious brother and you say the wrong damn word, your ass can be eliminated and the government doesn't have to say that they did a damn thing to you. So they're going to let these gangs do shit like you saw today, even though these 15-year-olds weren't part of a gang, but they understand the gang culture. That is part of the psychology of prison mentality out on the street. Now, how did they get out here other than through our own technology? They were sneaking cell phones into the prisons, and now the very thing that you're trying to keep behind the walls, the corruption and violence, is now on the outside being displayed on national television so that they think we're all, as black people, animals.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways I want to respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
In that, one, how are we defining prison culture? And how are we defining information being exposed? Because to me, this is not, I almost feel like I have to self-disclose, so I will to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in my life, I have a doctoral degree in counseling psychology.
Yes.
But let me go back further, though. When I was a child growing up, from the time that I was knee-high to a butterfly, I was going to the penitentiary to visit family members.
Mm-hmm.
So there was my immediate family taking me to visit uncles and cousins and different people that was in the penitentiary until I got older, where I was going to do that myself. So prison culture being exposed outside of prison is not anything new for a person like me.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, and when I look at it now, it was very much normalized. Like I didn't
Right.
see prison as like a bad place. Almost so it's like a classroom of a place where I was ultimately going to go, and that I did ultimately go. But it was very normalized to me. So when I hear you talk about that escapism from prison to like regular culture, that's not abnormal. That's very normal to me. I think it's very normal to a lot of people.
Right. Including me. It started from like little harmless things like in the prisons they would iron their shoestrings to get the fat shoestrings. You remember those days when we was walking?
Yeah.
So we've always had prison culture or prison mentality in our culture. However, what we have now is the very type of discipline that you're taught in prison about what is good and what is bad and what is law in prison, because there's a different law on the streets than there is for the inside of prison. Inside of prison, when one person fights, everybody has to fight, or there's a pressure will be applied to you. And it ain't that type of pressure with fat shoestring. It's more of a violent pressure. Now, I saw this girl on television today get her ass whooped for a pair of sneakers, and probably the watch she had on, Apple Watch or something like that. These items cost $1,000 for that watch, or at least $1,500. So these are not little frivolous items like we used to carry around a Walkman for $50. So the stakes are higher, but also the penalties or the pressure that's being applied on the streets, which the similarities to the prison mentality of dog eat dog. So when I say culture, I mean to how it's transcended from just fashion and style to law. We don't follow, when you're breaking the law out in the streets, you're not following the law of the land. You're following the law of this very thing that's going to land you in prison. And so, hence, you end up in there. But now the culture of prison seems to have gotten way beyond just fashion to where we're actually doing what would be considered in prison, prison justice.
Okay, let me just buy into where you are right now. and I want you, I want to kind of paint a picture and tell me whether or not you can follow this picture.
Yes, sir.
So, now, you and I go back to New York, early 1990s.
Yes, sir.
But I want to go from childhood to that point and beyond. Okay, so here's an environment where you and I both will understand, whether it was D.C., whether it was South Carolina, whether it was New York. We both understand projects. And what I mean by projects is where you live, right? So if you grow up and you live in a project, here's the picture of what that project looks like. So before you get in the building, there are drug dealers, there's drug addicts, there's murders, there's pimp hustlers, there's a whole array of things before you even get into the building. And depending on how high the high rise is, has a lot to do with what you're going to be exposed to before you get to your apartment. Now that's coming from the outside. So coming from the outside, getting into the building, these are all the things that you are being exposed to. Then once you get in the building, there's additional crack addicts, drug dealers, all these other things that are going on once you get in the building. Now that you've gotten past these people that you've walked past, now you're coming in the building. And now once you get in the building, you're physically seeing these things you have to walk past. But not only are you physically walking past these people now, but some of these people are relatives, cousins, mamas, daddies, brothers, all of that.
Yes, sir.
There's also graffiti and everything else that's going on the wall.
Pissy staircases.
In addition to, feces and anything else that might be on the wall. Now, once you get in the building, inside your apartment, whatever's happening inside your apartment, whether your mom, dad, is together or not together, whether or not they're on drugs or whatever is happening, there's a whole other culture, but not culture, there's a whole other lifestyle that's happening now inside the apartment. But in addition to whatever physical violence or drugs or whatever that may be happening, you also may have a water leak. You a timeline of projects all of our lives,
right,
from D.C., Maryland, and South Carolina, and different project settings and different project-driven settings where we've seen this all of our lives, intentionally or not intentionally. This is something that has prepared us for prison, whether we was prepared for it or not.
right,
Because everything in our life has conditioned us to be prepared for all these negative things that have happened to us and that we've seen all of our lives. To make it to 17 or to make it to 18, we still, 17, 18, we have now been conditioned, intentionally or not conditioned, or not intentionally, for jail. All of your life, all you have seen from your mom, from your dad, from your cousin, from your neighborhood is prison mentality.
mm-hmm.
From drug dealing, from drug using, from bullying, from fighting, all of your life, this is all you have seen. So now, let's walk outside of that world.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get a job. I want to go to college. I want to get an education. How do you then morph that life into this other life? It's almost impossible.
Right.
Because the next step outside of all of that you've grown up with is now prepared you for jail. Because guess what? Every time you step up against everything that you've grown up in front of, every time you step up against the drug dealers, every time you step up against family violence, street violence, neighborhood violence, everything that you stand up against that you call survival,
Mm-hmm.
in this other world, it's called...
The code of the streets?
No, it's called assault and battery. It's called assault and battery with intent to kill. With a deadly weapon. Okay? So now you have assault and battery with intent to kill, with a deadly weapon. So guess what?
What?
So all of those things now, you are about to go to jail. I'm saying that to wrap this up. Okay, let's take it back to where you was initially. In that, when you talk about prison, being manifested outside of prison, it's just a everyday norm for us, and how we have to learn how to navigate, that world. And unless you and I are talking about that right now, or someone else is talking about that right now, then you're living it, but you don't understand it.
Right.
Because you're trying to survive, where the other side of the world is saying, no, nigga, this is assault and battery. You're going to prison. And you're like, wait a minute.
I don't want to go. Wait now. Hold on. I didn't sign up for this shit. So now you have a conscious community, because I was telling some guy about how the 5%ers went about getting rid of the gangs like the Jolly Stompers and all of these, the Outlaws, all of these 70s gangs. The nations of God and earth got rid of all of those gangs. They created a new law that you weren't going to come terrorize the children of the neighborhood trying to recruit them. We're going to teach them the knowledge of self, and if you touch them, we're going to bust your ass. That worked. Even people with knives and guns back then, just the very fact that you were going to have a bunch of 5%ers bust your ass became a deterrent. I don't see that happening with today's gangs. The conscious community was one of the safe havens for people with some type of intelligence. But now I see people with intelligence who understand community and understand black power, but they're affiliated with gang. And while you don't see them attacking the oppressor or the oppressive system, they will be sure to beat you down and kill you if you say something that you disagree with. Which brings me to my point about Malcolm X. You're not even safe making a point about something that happened 60 years ago, because you have a trained army of assault and battery motherfuckers that have learned that the nation killed Malcolm. So if you try to impart some wisdom to them, they're going to use the assault and battery mentality on you.
Look, Douglas, I gotta tell you, I guess I kind of want to add to what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
In that it is almost disheartening to me, you know, when I think about the Bloods and the Crips, and you know all these different groups that we have out here that are supposed to be they call themselves gangs. Mm-hmm. And then we still have people like George Zimmerman, you know, still walking around here. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, and when we having, you know, children, you know, dying, you know, and you know, innocent children, innocent people dying, whether it be by police or whether by just injustice, period, or them killing one another, I just feel like someone is working backwards. Mm-hmm. You know, because I think that those organizations initially, you know, were supposed to protect, you know, our communities and things like that. But it's almost like instead of doing that, we have worked internally to destroy these communities that we call our communities. Right.
Which is where the for me personally, I can't say that for everyone, but for me, the real culture was not hip-hop. It wasn't street knowledge. The real culture was in what we were doing to build and develop our communities. Now we see that is not the main focus. If I can make money off of intimidating you or exploiting you, I'm going to do that. And the youth are going to have more sympathy for me, even though I'm terrorizing the neighborhood, than some old head talking about building community. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah.
So the psychology has reversed on us in terms of the organizations that was meant to protect us, or at least give us hope that there would be one day a powerful organization to not only fight the system of oppression, but help to develop our communities where we're self-determinant.
I agree 100%.
And it really broke my heart today to see that girl get beat up like that. I don't know. When we were growing up, we didn't do no sucker shit like that.
Yeah.
And I have to be careful saying sucker shit, because who the fuck you talking to? You know, right. Niggas want to kill you for even mentioning the word sucker. They're going to give you a prison justice if you even attempt to say that that's sucker shit. Yeah. But I remember growing up being sucker free in the hood, and we never did no shit where we attacked women.
Yeah.
15 boys on one girl. That made no sense to me today. And yet you have people that are they're not, I wouldn't say that they're justifying it, but they're saying that hip hop is not the reason for that, gangs is not the reason for what happened to her. It's just violence. So that they're normalizing what prison justice is. You take somebody milk out of the the sink combo toilet that they had there cooling, and you didn't tell nobody, they gonna whoop your ass, right, wrong, or indifferent. You gonna get your ass beat and probably killed, shivved for a milk that was being chilled in the toilet receptacle. That's how ignorant it is in prison. But to see that ignorance out on the street where we're supposed to be civilized people with a culture of self-determination and self-empowerment was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, see, I have to say that I don't think that I can equate that to prison culture. Because to me, and again, being transparent, while I might be a doctor today, I am a person that has experienced what it is to be locked up.
Right.
What I'm hearing you talk about is not necessarily prison or jail culture, because what people do in a free society, as opposed to what they do in a jail society, is almost like two different things. So I don't even know that based on, I don't know the details like you know the details, based on what I'm hearing you say, that happened today would not have happened like that in a jail society or a prison society. And I think that we have to make a difference in, understanding someone being bullied, taken advantage of, in a free market or, a non-jail, non-prison situation, and then equating that to a jail mentality. I come from a place of some really, treacherous, mean, some street stuff.
Right. Treachery was like money.
I'm trying to be transparent. I want to say that that's not where I am today.
Right.
I know the real nigga.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to say respect to the real niggas. I ain't trying to be that.
Right.
I have been that.
Right.
I ain't trying to be that because I know the cost that comes with that.
Right.
I'm gonna take my hat off today because I understand it and I respect it, and I'm gonna take my hat off and say to you, I ain't trying to go down that road. I've been there, and I know what it is. So I ain't trying to play no games with you because I know what I know it's real. I know that side of the track. So I'm saying I ain't there no more. So when you see me in the street, recognize me, raising my hand, saying, "Ain't that nigga no more." I am. So you ain't got to test me. You ain't got to, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to call the police on your ass. I'm going to do all the other shit, because I'm telling you that's where I'm at. I ain't trying to rumble you. Even if I can, I ain't trying to. That's not what I'm about. All street niggas, real niggas that's trying to go to jail, hey, hats off to you. That ain't me. So I just want to say that. First and foremost. So then, now going back to the point is that, I'm a member of a Greek fraternity. I'm a member of a Islamic fraternity. Now, I'm, trying to kind of turn my life like 360. So when I hear stories about people doing things like that in the street, I almost don't have respect for it. And the reason why I say I don't have respect for it is because when you try to do gangster things, but you don't want to live gangster life, and what I mean by gangster life is, if you won't do it, take the consequences. I mean, if you about that life, whatever jail sentence comes with that, roll with it. But don't do things like that to people, and then you are trying to evade the police and the repercussions that come with that. Because now, it's misconstrued. It's like, okay, you want to do all these bad things to people, but you don't want to
Right.
You know, the real consequence that comes with that is you get to go to jail. You get to live a lifestyle of people that think and act just like that.
Right.
But don't do those things to people, and you don't want to accept those consequences. When I was a street person, whatever it brought me, I was like, okay, I'm rolling with it. And I realized that, hey, I don't want to roll with it no more. I was like, okay, you know what? I ain't saying no such thing. No, I don't really want that. I don't really want that. I don't really want that no more. I thought I wanted it. You know, at one point I can handle it, but now, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
By the time these young guys from high school realize that life don't have to be like the way they're living it, that lifestyle is a choice. Well, it's not a choice. I don't want to be like Kanye. Slavery was a choice. No, nigga, no. I don't want to be like that because you have to protect yourself in the hood. So I could see how people congregate together, whether it's gang or no gang. People congregate together and say, yo, we not having that on this block. Which is how the crews came up in New York City in the first place. We didn't have those gangs after the 70s with the 5%er. There's one thing to prove that you're tough in the street and that you're going to not go for any nonsense in your hood. But it's quite another thing to take somebody that you can beat and stomp them out and say that you're doing something tough.
Let me try to add a piece to that. There's a large part of my life where I was hurt, and I was hurting internally. What I did subconsciously or consciously is that I created another person that I wanted the world to see. I heard Dave Chappelle's mom and Dave Chappelle talk about. Dave Chappelle said that his mom taught him that sometimes you have to be a lion so that you can be the sheep that you really want to be. And I also heard Will Smith talk to Charlamagne the God, and he was saying how, you know, at a particular stage in your life, you create like a character of yourself. But that character of yourself is a protection that you kind of create that helps you to survive at that time.
Right.
And then what you have to understand is when that is being created, whether it's intentional or not, is when it works for you and then it's when it starts to work against you. Sometimes when we grow up in those hoods, in those environments, you know, we're creating characters or we're creating situations to protect ourselves because we don't want to be taken advantage of. So we create these images, and they work for a certain period of time in what we're trying to do. But sometimes we don't know when to let them go. And then
deep.
they start to outlive their usefulness. It's almost like, you know, you and I mean, you know, we go way back. You know, from sitting, you know, in Bedford-Stuyvesant, you know, I think you live on Gable, and we used to sit in our apartment. I mean, from sun up to sundown, and I just going back and forth. But there's stories in the Bible and the Quran that I think that are valid, but that have outlived their usefulness. And that's what we need to understand in who we are and who we have created to protect us during whatever time we
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we, whether it was the Black Panther Party, whether it was SNCC, whether it was CORE, whether it was, whatever organization it was, but understanding the tools that we used at that time and understanding when they were useful and when they're not useful.
Right. Or when they have outlived their significance.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was very poignant, as they say. That was very deep, because I didn't look at it that way until you said that. But you gave me the perspective of a person that's out on the street trying to maintain a rep for themselves. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong or whether it's sucker shit or not. It's just that this image is going to keep me from having to do something that could end my life. So it's like a protective coating that one has to put on themselves. But my next question to you, based on that, knowing full well that these images that we have to keep, this tough guy image that we have to keep up, at that time in your life, did you ever think that the image that you were portraying to the world, particularly to the streets, would one day be in the very next generation to come up, and even worse or even a more difficult time to prove that their image was nothing to be fucked with?
I want to understand the magnitude of what you just asked me. So I'm going to ask you to repeat that. Mm-hmm. And as I'm asking you to repeat that, I'm going to ponder everything that you're saying, because what I just heard you say was really profound to me, and I want to hear it again, mm-hmm. and then I want to give you an authentic answer to that.
Okay. The image that one has to keep in order to maintain that hood or street that they're repping. That part, you've made me understand what the mentality would be out in the street for why people do that type of assault and battery. Okay, I get it, like the other people that I've heard today say that it's not these other things. It's within that we have to maintain a certain level of violence in order to have credibility. That part I get. But during that time in your life where you even admittedly said it was a dark period in your life, did you ever think that the next generation coming up would have to maintain those same violent images of authority not to be fucked with, and even have to do it to a higher level or degree than you did? Did that ever come to your mind at that time while you were in survival mode like that?
Okay. So, I mean, excellent question. I honestly thought like that. That was my thought process. And in this conversation with you right now, Brother, I'm trying to be as authentic as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. And so I want to say to you, I think I thought like that until I had my son.
Wow.
I had my son. I was 34 years old, and there were so many things that went through my mind, through me as a person, and man, I had been through so much in terms of just, my lifestyle, how it came up, feeling unloved, feeling unwanted, feeling like a gangster, feeling like a drug dealer, feeling like a hardcore, just like a mean street person, then becoming an educated person, going to college, and I had an array of emotions, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the first time, and again, I'm being transparent on this in this conversation. So this is the first time that I decided, you know what, I need to talk to a counselor. I need to talk to a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, because I heard this thing about the sins of the father will get to the son. Now I'm about to have a son. I'm like, oh shit. Man, Jesus Christ. This gotta go through what happened to me.
I don't want my son to go through none of this shit.
Lord have mercy. Repeat this history. Jesus Christ. No. So I was going to therapy, talking to a person, and as he started to grow, I was really, I became really, really fearful, man, because what happened was I started to go through experiences with him that I didn't know how to deal with. But not only did I not know how to deal with, when I look back in my Rolodex of my life, I realized there was no male figure in my life that I could tap into.
Right.
I've never met my father. I'm 49 years old right now, and I've never in my life met my father. I've never met my grandfather. I've never met a male in a household.
Wow.
So I didn't know what to teach him. So I was just like, I don't know what to do here. I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm looking at him, and he's making mistakes. And here's my thought process. My thought process was, okay, so if you be there, then this kid won't make the same mistakes. But I was like, how are you making mistakes and I'm here? That was crazy and frustrating for me. So
right.
To get to your point about the future generation, I thought that I could just give that generation, my son, next generation, the answer. I now know that that's not the case. They are not open and willing to just accept what you were going to say to them.
Right.
It's not that cut and dry.
Right.
It's not like that. And so what I ended up having to take my son out of public school. I put him in private school because I felt like, he needed a closer environment. He needed something that was, that was more intermediate and all that stuff. But what I've come to realize is that what you got to have, what you got to create, with that new generation, is you got to create an intimate relationship with that. Because they have a different way of seeing the world than you.
Right.
And so, I just had to be transparent with my son and say to him, hey, man, guess what? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So let me ask you, son, what is it that you want? What is it that you want? What is it that you expect from a dad? Because I don't know that I'm doing it right. I don't know that I'm doing it wrong. But tell me what it is you think you want from a dad. Because I know that I don't have the answer. And I'm willing to admit to you that I'm wrong. And I want to know how we can work it out together, how we can fix it. So my answer to you, in terms of what you asked me earlier, is that, I have to ask that generation, what do you want from us to get it right? What is it that you think you need from us to get it right?
Wow.
Does that make any sense to you?
Damn sure does. Lots of sense. It's such a deep point that you made. I think we're going to end right there. We are out of time in the effing universe. We are at the 47-minute mark. I enjoyed that conversation. We need to have many more if I live to see these conversations. I'm up against a foe that's even worse than the white man. All praise is due to Allah. He said, "You will, who all those who say they believe, they will be tried on what you believe." And I don't understand what Malcolm went through when he had to stand up there February 21st knowing that somebody was out to kill him. And he didn't even get to start his damn speech. That was that deep, brother.
Okay.
We must talk again soon. I appreciate every time I talk to you. I get a little more strength. Or maybe even a little more stupidity to continue on in this struggle. I know that, give you this analogy as we part. They have the scientists that came up with RAID. And the way RAID works is it lets you consume the product and you enjoy the product so much that you take it back into your inner community. And by the time you shared that jubilance with them, everyone is dead. I hope that it won't be the state of black people. I hope that among the youth that are out there now, that they know that they will have children, or they don't, because some of them are smart too. They say, okay, I won't have no damn children. Fuck everybody. Fuck out of here. But they forget that their sister or their cousin has a child. And this child is going to grow up to be worse than anything that you could have imagined in your gangsterous moment. I just came up with an epiphany then. When you speak to your son next, ask him what's his plans on having children. Even if he doesn't have children, ask him the hypothetical scenario. What if this happened to your son? How would you handle it? Because I think our young people want to give solutions, but they don't realize that this is not checkers. This is chess. When you make a move in checkers, it's to take a piece. But when you make a move in chess, it could take out the whole game.
I want to give a quick response to that, and I want to say this. Here's what I realized. I thought, because I didn't grow up with a father and a different relationship with my mom, that me just being there was going to be enough. But not only was I there, but I removed a lot of the stumbling blocks that I had as a kid growing up. Mm-hmm. And because I removed those stumbling blocks as a parent, I realized my son did not have that mental or physical toughness that I had, that I thought he naturally would have. Mm-hmm. And I struggled with learning that he doesn't have that. Mm. And so I'm saying that to say that for any parent that has went through a lot and feels like they don't want their children to go through what they went through, and then so they remove that physical, spiritual, and mental barrier that they went through. When that child doesn't have that, understand now you have something different to deal with that child. And that's what I am learning, and that's what I'm struggling with now as a parent, is that my son doesn't have a lot of the struggles that I had. And me trying to understand some of the struggles that he has, they're completely different than what I went through. And
Right.
sometimes it's a struggle for me to understand that he's struggling going through what he's going through. Because to me, I feel like that's nothing. And I want to trivialize it. But I can't. And I'm not supposed to trivialize it. Because that would be nothing for me. But there's something for him.
That's deep.
Does that make any sense?
That makes a lot of sense, because when I think about my daughter and the wayward path that she went on, she would tell me that this means this in our generation. This ain't like you, Dad. This means something. And I would dismiss it wrongfully in hindsight, 2020. Now, not only based on what you said, but just from my experiences over the years, but even more so when you just brought up that point that there are things that we don't consider money or valuable, that for them it's everything. They're not going to get out that first quarter of life unless these things go right for them, even though we trivialize them.
Right.
That's deep. I think I'm going to entitle this conversation Message to the Grassroots Parents. How about that? Because we damn sure can't talk to the youth. We don't speak their language or their credibility. The things that we found credible and of substance as parents, they dismiss quickly.
In closing, I want to say that, I was watching this episode of Growing Up Hip Hop, and I was watching Damon Dash. The children were having a conversation, and they were talking about their parents. And it was really, when I heard this, it was like eye-opening to me. But they were talking about their parents, and they were saying that their parents had grown up in a generation where men had to be hard. Because I'm telling you, like a light bulb went on in my head. And like, how is it a generation where black men are not supposed to be hard?
Right.
Right. But they were seeing themselves as not a generation of black men that need to be hard. So they were talking about Damon Dash and Jay-Z and Fat Joe and all these people, and they were saying that they grew up that their parents had grown up in this generation of people that needed to be like hard black men. But they didn't see that. So again, it made me go back to looking at my son. There's so much of what I had to do to change my behavior, so that I would scare the shit out of my son. and I'm telling you, even though I'm college educated, and I went through the streets to bachelor's degree, to master's degree, to doctorate degree. Man, I still had to learn how not to be a nigga or a crazy motherfucker in my house.
Nigga dad.
To not get the shit out of my son and my daughter. Because I could read the shit out of some books. I'm academic as they want to come. But man, I would jump the street in a minute. I'm like, what? I hear some triggers up. I flip. I had to realize, oh man, I can't.
That's not gonna work.
They made it like that. They just didn't grow up like that. They didn't grow up like that. And because I removed those barriers for them, because I wanted them to have a better life, I wasn't understanding removing those barriers, what that meant. I didn't get it.
Wow. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do. Here and abroad.
Right.
We'll talk again, brother.